Mindfulness Project family. Today is day 7 of the Advent calendar. So it is the 7th of December, and this week we will talk about compassion. So compassion is one of the mind states of the Brahma Viharas, and it is very powerful. Compassion is a quality of our heart, a quality of our human beingness, and it's an expression of connection. That means that it's not that I can have compassion for myself, but it comes into really strong power that we feel a compassion for another person. And that shows, or for nature, or for animals, like for all these living beings, all this planet, actually, we can have compassion. And this shows as an expression of connection. And I think one of our human beingness, but I feel it's kind of the world beingness, is there is interconnectedness. There is a connectedness between all beings, between everything on this planet, even between me and the mountain, me and the sky, me and you. There is this connection, and because of this connection, we can have feeling for the other, understanding of the other, and also feeling the feelings of the other. Not exactly the same feelings that the other person has, but we can feel the mind and heart state of another person. And especially if someone is suffering, we want to support the other person. We want to be there for the other person to help them to end the suffering. What helped me to come closer to compassion was to understand myself. So this is why Vipassana, I like it so much, and why Vipassana for me is so much related with the Brahma Viharas, is especially using Vipassana for the gaining wisdom and insight knowledge, is when you observe yourself, whatever is arising in your heart mind. Also during especially long terms and long times of meditation, like difficult states will arise. Anger might arise, fear might arise, or boredom might arise. And maybe old stories will come up, and you will sit in your old stories for a while, and that might not feel comfortable. But because of this coming, and you learn to sit with your open heart, what I always like to say, like embracing everything that arises. So when you sit with your open heart and whatever comes, you embrace this in your loving awareness, and you learn to be really strong and to sit with whatever is there, and you learn about your inner suffering, you learn about the cause of suffering, and you learn about how to heal suffering. And because you know how it feels to be in pain, and the dukkha, you know, and you can go, and maybe especially if you made the experience that you can go through it, and that you can change, or that maybe someone other helped you to go through it, guided you through it, or just sit next to you on your side. For me, this is one of the things that helped me to understand the deeper suffering by observing myself. And I had my teacher and even a group of meditators at my side. And it helped me to understand there's suffering everywhere. And often the things that we find difficult in behavior of others, it comes out of their suffering. So even I don't need to agree with certain behaviors, things that happen, I can look deeper in and see that mostly the cause for this behavior, for this action, is a deep ingrained suffering of this person. And I can come into compassion even with difficult maybe behavior and acting. Or if someone is suffering grief, have a loss of a person like we had recently, there is like this heart springing open for knowing how it feels to lose someone. And even knowing this is part of life, it is so important to stay next to the other person, to be there, to hold the hand, and to be to just be there. Sometimes, we cannot really heal the other person, but being there is very healing. To have an open ear, and just say, I have this time for you. I have space for you. I hold space for you, and you can open up to me. You can trust. So it's also like a lot of trust involved in this, and it will strengthen the connection. And I think this is something that we really need in our interbeing, in our relationships, and in this world. Also today, we need a lot of compassion for what is going on in this world at the moment. Whatever perspective we have, it's our perspective. We might be right, we might be wrong, a little right, a little wrong, whatever. There are so many different truths, like not the one truth, but different perspectives on the things, and we need a lot of compassion and understanding to not fall out of love for each other, to stay connected, to understand the fears that each of us has in these times. There are so many different reasons to be in fear, and if you look at the media, fear is created even more. There is not support for us to come out of fear and to come into our strengths. So what we need is with each other to be really our pillar, our support, especially in this time. So it's very, very, very important to keep our hearts open to our own suffering, to have compassion for ourselves, that maybe things are not the way we want them to be, and for the suffering of the others, all the fears and the angers and everything that is arising, and to look deeper, to look beyond all the stories that are told at the moment, all the ideas and concepts that are there, to have compassion for the losses that were there, and for whatever reason they came, and compassion for all suffering that arises on this planet. So I think it needs some courage to have compassion also, because what I feel is to really come into compassion, what we need to is open our heart to the suffering. And very often we want to run away from suffering. We don't want to feel it. We don't want to feel the difficulty. We want to have distraction. We want to have like maybe a little party, alcohol or whatever, to not feel. But by not feeling, we are a little bit, that doesn't mean that we cannot have fun and party, but we have to do it at the right moment. If we use it to distract ourselves, to not feel, and to run away from the suffering, it will also block our heart a little bit, and maybe a little bit more, and a little bit more, and it will block us from the others, and then we will feel separation and loneliness. Because if we block out all the feelings because we think it's too difficult, then it will be difficult to feel the full expression of life, and it will be difficult to feel the suffering of the other person, or to be there for the suffering. We will try to stop the suffering of the other person kind of like forcefully, without giving time and space for the person to express. So it's a very courageous act to be able to open the heart, to let the suffering in, and to have the compassion. And what helped me to have this openness is to trust into my heart, into the capacity of my heart, to trust into the teachings of impermanence, anicca, what I learned in the Buddhist tradition, that everything comes, it's arising, staying a while, and fading away, and to observe all this, also all suffering, also coming, staying, and fading away. So this is for me like a big help, but without abusing it, to find, oh, it will end anyhow, so don't worry, you will go through that. No, not like this. For me, I will not even need to express this to the other person. I can just sit and say, I know this from experience. It will come and it will feel hard and it will feel like it will never end, but it ended. But this allows me to hold the space also for a longer time for the other person, but also knowing, there is this rising up, there is a peak of suffering, and there is this fading out, like going away of suffering. And the healing can come in this whole process. So yeah, I wish you for this Christmas time and for the life and for this whole world that we have lots of compassion. Lots of compassion. It's really needed. Take a breath before you want to judge someone or judge an opinion or something. Take a deep breath and look deeper. What is the reason behind? What is the fear? Mostly it's fear that is behind. What is the fear that is behind? Can I have an open heart and space for this fear and hold the other person in compassion? Or whatever other circumstance will be there. We always will have difficult circumstances. Whatever advanced yogi meditator we are, look at Buddha, look at Jesus. They had lots of suffering to go through. And they had lots of compassion. It would not stop them. It would even make them stronger to be with truth, be with the reality as it is, and be there for other person and help them as much as they can. So I hope that we can be the guidance and the light for each other that we need. Have compassion for yourself. If you do mistakes, compassion for whatever mistake that you do, whatever kind of even difficult times are there, have compassion for yourself. Not maybe knowing what is right and wrong, what to do. Have compassion, and have compassion for all the others. And have a lot of compassion for Mother Earth. She needs our compassion, and it will help us to come into acting. If we allow ourselves to feel, this will guide our action in a different way, in a connected way. We will feel connected with the person, the people, the animals, the nature around us. And out of this connection, we will have and create a different being together in a different world that we can live in together. So this is just my view on compassion. This is how I work with it, how I see it, and it's just like an inspiration. Take whatever you need from this. Be compassionate with me for whatever you not agree with, and enjoy your time, your day. Have a super nice 7th of December, good Christmas time, and see you soon. Stay tuned. Love you.